Google ads, Facebook ads, YouTube ads, LinkedIn ads, Quora ads, display ads. Between all these different digital advertising platforms, it can become a lot too quickly, leading you to becoming overwhelmed and ultimately, which happens most of the time, focusing on the minute details and the nuances between each channel, the specific how-tos, where you're not necessarily tied in and aligned with the big picture and the why behind the how. And it's really important to know how to do things, but more so, I think it's more important to first understand why you're doing what you're doing, so then when you go into these channels, whether it's Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever it might be, you can execute on the how because you know it's aligned with your bigger vision, your bigger purpose for even running these campaigns in the first place. With this video, it's my goal to bring you clarity and to realign you with why you started these campaigns in the first place, and to really get you focused on, in my opinion, the two most successful questions you need to ask yourself in order to have success with digital advertising. Question number one you need to ask yourself is, what does success mean to you with your campaigns? So for example, what does success mean to you with your Google advertising campaigns? Put a specific number on that. Have you guys ever heard of the acronym SMART? You want to set SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. That's a good framework to follow when setting goals, and it's the same thing with your campaigns. The same way you'll set goals in your personal life, you want to set goals for your advertising campaigns as well, and you want to get very clear on what success means to you. So instead of just saying something like, I want more leads for less cost, you should say, I want 30 more leads for 20% less cost in the next 30 days. That's a more specific goal, it's more realistic and more timely, and that is going to allow you to do, in my opinion, which is even more important, is reverse engineer. So for example, if you want to get 30 leads, that's going to determine how much you need to spend to get that. If you want to get more leads, you're usually going to have a bigger budget so you can get in front of more people so that you can get a bigger quantity of leads most of the time. So that means if you want to get 30 leads, you're going to need a different budget than if you wanted to get 5 leads. So depending on what your goal is, whether it's leads or sales or whatever it is, you want to make sure you have that number in mind so you can work backwards and create your budget. If you're not sure how to create a budget, I actually created a video on how to calculate your Google advertising budget, and you can go ahead and take that framework that I mentioned in that video and actually apply it to other channels as well. So if you're running Facebook ads, for example, instead of using the example of I use in the video of Google, you can just plug in your Facebook ads cost data in the examples I show, and you can be able to calculate that as well. But the point is, if you do not know what success means to you with your advertising campaigns, then how are you going to reverse engineer and create a plan of attack? One being your budget, and then two being your strategy on how you're going to show these ads, what kind of campaigns you're going to run so that you can have success with your advertising. The second most important question, and the final question you need to ask yourself in order to have success with your digital advertising campaigns, is who is it you're trying to reach? I know it's so basic, but this is personally something that I have overlooked so many times. This concept is something we hear all the time in marketing, and they have so many different names for it, but it ultimately means the same thing. Whether people are saying, what's your customer avatar? What's your customer persona? Who is your target market? All these things are just different ways of saying the same thing of who it is that you're actually trying to reach with your advertising in the first place. And kind of going back to the beginning of the video when I said it can get overwhelming really quickly with all these different channels out there, by understanding who you're trying to reach, that's going to determine where you show the ads. So your market, your industry has different buying behaviors, different interests, different problems that they're trying to solve in their life. And based on where they consume information online, it's going to be different where you show your ads. So ultimately, understanding who it is you're trying to reach, the problems they're facing, the pains they're experiencing, who they are, what they're going through on a daily basis, and then you can create advertising that goes in front of these people and elicits a response because you're communicating to them one-on-one because you truly understand them. And not only that, you're using the platforms that they consume content on or information. That's going to be critical to your success with digital advertising. I got so caught up in the details of the platform itself, like knowing all the little tips and tricks in Google Ads and the latest hacks and et cetera, versus knowing, okay, who it is I'm trying to reach, what are the problems, the mindsets, the frustrations, the challenges they're going through, and then putting together my advertising, my campaigns in a way that communicates directly to them so that I can make sure I can communicate the value of what it is I have to offer to be able to better their situation in life. That is it for this video. Quick recap. Point number one, question you want to ask yourself is, what does success mean to you with your digital advertising campaigns? Get specific. Use that SMART goal format. Get very specific on what it is and then work backwards so that you can come up with the strategy and the budget required to hit that specific outcome that you're going for. Number two, get crystal clear on who it is you're trying to reach with your advertising campaigns. Shift your focus from the tools, which is Google, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, etc. They're just tools. Shift your focus from the tools and the little nuances of the tools towards what matters most, which is who it is I'm trying to reach, where they consume information, their buying behavior, their patterns, and how can I put together advertising on these platforms that they consume and use Facebook, Google, YouTube, etc. as a tool to get in front of them to be able to communicate the value that you provide. I hope you got tremendous value from this video. If you did, if you could like the video, that'll help me out a ton. And if you like content like this, feel free to subscribe to the AdConversion YouTube channel so you can get notified of future content that I post. And if there are any topics that I haven't covered on this channel that you'd like me to, please go ahead and drop a comment with anything you'd like me to cover in the future. I created this channel to just share my experience and my journey on what's worked for me and what's not worked for me as I continue to become a better advertiser and just share what's going on in my life with my clients. So hope you got tremendous value. Talk soon.